The Chosen One's author's notes. This was a story I wrote when I decided to stop playing this game, mainly because it is, until this day, the most expensive free-to-play game I ever played. And unless you have about 1,000 USD to spare a month, I would not recommend Air Rivals. Quaho. What are the different gears? AWO, the first letter in each gear's name gives you a hint of what they are. I Interceptor, B Bomber, A Artillery, and M is a special support gear that can help other gears to survive Q. Are all tunes yours? Amon. No. Several players have told me how they wish for their chars to be portrayed in this story. Aaron, Famine, and Ogrimmar are my chars. Chapter 1. The Chosen Ones. It is already dark when three gears slowly make their way through Redline. The small group contains one A gear, one B gear, and one M gear, soaring in silence far over the other two. The B gear slowly flies just a couple of meters over the ground and tries to keep its throttle at a minimum so the noise and the light from its engines will not be heard or seen. The A gear has its trick as it moves on the ground unseen by even the patrols he passes with less than a meter. A dark male voice can be heard over the Famine, you need to step on it. I can't stay cloaked much longer. What part of radio silence did you not understand, Ogrimmar? Famine snaps. Radio silence or not, if I'm detected, this mission of yours is screwed, so step on it. Famine increases her speed slightly, but still manages to keep her flames concealed within the engines. Ogrimmar stops right next to a bunker, and the M gear stays over him, still at the same altitude as Famine, who slowly makes her way past the guns on the mountains and toward their target. As she passes the mountain chain, she arms her bombs and waits patiently for the signal from her computer. Her eyes widened as she saw that Intel was wrong about the number of hostiles in the area. Ogrimmar, be ready. Intel was wrong. I count at least 100. 100? I hope BRI-1 and Wolf will not be too late. No more than a second after Ogrimmar's statement comes the beep from Famine's computer. She releases her bombs and immediately pulls the throttle to the max as she makes a 180-degree turn toward Ogrimmar. Ogrimmar and Amico can see the flash as the bombs hit their targets. Ogrimmar hits siege mode, and just behind Famine comes his targets. Amico, get that portal open now, Ogrimmar barks as his trusted Big Smash railgun starts a lightning show that even impresses the most experienced pilots. Two small lights can be seen in the sky as BRI-1 and Wolf emerges from the portal and fire up their engines mid-air. BRI-1, Wolf full spread. I repeat, full spread. Copy that, full spread, BRI-1 answers. A loud boom can be heard as the two I gears pass through the sound barrier and at the same time fire 16 missiles, each dropping 30 enemies to the ground together with one cruiser. In the meantime, Ogrimmar looks with horror as at least 20 ships turn toward him. I could use some help here, Ogrimmar says as his gun suddenly overheats. No, not now. In a desperate move, he slams his fist on a button covered by a lid, hoping that the liquid nitrogen will cool his gun. But just as the engineer said, the possibility that the gun would crack is imminent. Ogrimmar, shield up now! Famine screams over the radio. As Ogrimmar looks up and pushes a small button on his left stick, he can see a swarm of tiny bombs coming toward him. The shield did, however, protect him from everything but the noise, as the bombs hit him straight on and made his A gear fall into a deep crater. And as if that was not enough, he got covered by the remains of the ships Famine just bombed. From what seems several miles away, Ogrimmar can hear a voice. Ogrimmar! Ogrimmar, are you okay? It took almost a minute for Ogrimmar to recover his senses, a minute that felt like an eternity for his friends. Ogrimmar, please answer. Please, not so loud. Ogrimmar answers as the ringing in his ears stops. Ogrimmar slowly grabs his sticks, and as he does, the engine roars to life again, and the A gear slowly makes its way through all the rubble and out of the crater. When he comes up, a blue beam can be seen from high. A bow is aimed at Ogrimmar. He is okay. A low and what seems to be a slightly shy voice can be heard. Let's get back to HQ. I'm sure Ogrimmar needs to be looked over, Famine says in a bit of a worried voice. The 5 ships come in only a few seconds apart and get towed into separate hangars. Ogrimmar takes a deep breath as he opens up the small hatch in front of the massive gun. The hissing sound and the low-pitched noise from the engine seem louder, and Ogrimmar looks over at it, thinking of reporting it to maintenance for inspection. As he walks into a quarter, he can see Famine, Bryn, Wolf, and Amiko approaching him. "Hey, Og, are you okay?" Famine asks. Ogrimmar puts both of his hands over his ears just as she starts to talk. "Damn, why are you talking so loud?" Famine looks at Ogrimmar and then over at the others as Amiko walks over to Ogrimmar and starts to scan him with a small device. Amiko looks at the small device and then shows it to Famine. "That can't be right. How can his hearing improve by 200%? Well, it is rare, but I have heard of this before." I see. Bryn steps forward to the two girls and looks at the device. "I have to report this to command," he says, with a slightly lower voice than usual. "I'm sorry about this, Ogrimmar, but until we get this solved, you grounded," he continues. Ogrimmar looks over at Famine, and she can see he's not happy. She then nods at Brian. "I'm sorry, Ogrimmar, but this is better than being dead, right? All I can do is fight, so no. If this can't be solved, I will be as good as dead," he answers as he walks away. "Don't say that. You will fly again. I'm sure of it." Famine looks over at Bryn, looking for answers, but all she gets is a slight shake of his head. Chapter 2. Man Down. A low-pitched thundering sound can be heard across the barren lands of Redline as a dark-colored I-Gear starts up its two engines as it passes through the gate. It rapidly descends to a lower altitude and follows the ground with only a couple of meters to spare. Anyone who sees this pilot can see he has done this for a long time and that he is a trained professional. As he passes the medium-sized crater, he makes a slight turn to be able to see down into it before he continues over the mountaintops and circles around the mangled base that was bombed just a couple of days ago. Wolf to headquarters, nothing to report. Everything seems clear. "Copy that, Wolf. Return to base." As he turns toward the gate, he makes a quick roll, sending him down further toward the water, and as he increases the throttle, the water gets pushed to a side and forms a wave behind him, traveling outwards. As the speed increases, he catches something glimmering in his eye and turns toward it. Suddenly, several flashes of light can be seen right in front of him, and the all-too-familiar sound of a gun on an A-gear can be heard. By reflex, Wolf pushes the throttle up and pushes his craft even closer to the ground. Dust and some occasional spark can be seen from the undercarriage of the I-Gear, as it, from time to time, is so close to the ground, it hits small rocks. As Wolf blasts right past the A-Gear, he knows the A-Gear lost his target lock on him and pulls back the throttle. At the same time, he pushes the stick to the left, turning the I-Gear almost on a dime, and fires his missiles. Immediately, he can see a blue barrier surrounding the A-Gear, and Wolf curses to himself as he opens up his guns. As the A-Gear turns around, his gun Wolf again descends, and as he does, he contacts HQ. "Wolf to headquarters, I'm under attack and need immediate assistance." But to his horror, the nearby gate to Rocknest is interrupting his signal, and it is clear to him that no one can hear him. Again, he pushes the throttle up and tries to make it to the mountains for cover. As he reaches the water, the I-Gear suddenly banks to the right, and the A-Gear finds its mark and hits his wing. As the wing hits the water, Wolf knows there is nothing he can do except eject and hope for the best. As he opens a small lid covering a button and pushes it, he can feel the heat from the explosion as his seat ejects him from the burning wreck as it hits the water. A couple of seconds later, he hits the water a good 20 meters from the sinking wreck of his gear. He can hear the A-Gear coming closer, and for the first time in a long time, Wolf is afraid. Not afraid he will die, but afraid that he will not be able to help his friends or how he feels deep inside, his family. As the A-Gear finally moves back toward the gate to Rocknest, Wolf starts to swim toward the rock formation and walks to the gate to Starlight. He looks at the clock he once got from his friend Ogrimmar as he finally reaches the gate and turns on his distress beacon, hoping that the A-Gear will not pick up his signal. Day turns to dusk, and dusk turns to night. Wolf knows that his signal will not reach all the way to Baijiniu City, but he also knows that they will look for him, and they will wonder. Suddenly, Wolf hears a soft noise. He draws his weapon and stands up, only to see a small creature looking at him for a second before it buries itself in the ground. Wolf puts away his gun and sits down. "Don't be afraid, little one," he says with a soft voice. He opens a bag, takes out one of his chocolate bars, and offers it to the small creature. The creature looks at him with his big eyes from the paw hole in the ground. "I won't harm you, little one." The small creature slowly makes its way toward Wolf, and just as it comes into reach, it quickly takes the chocolate from his hand. Wolf can't help but smile at the small creature as it first sniffs the chocolate before it almost inhales the small treat. At the same time, back at the HQ, "Bryn, have you seen Wolf?" Bryn turns around and makes a quick salute before answering, "No, sir. He is probably at the training simulator." The man looks at Bryn without saying a word. "And I will go there right now and see if he is," Bryn continues. "Tell him I need to talk to him. I will be in my office." "Yes, sir." It is obvious that Bryn is concerned about something as he walks away. He knows that Wolf always reports to him everything he does, and now when he starts to think about it, he concludes it is close to 6 hours since he last saw Wolf. He continues to walk, and as he thinks about it, Psycho did not have the usual psychotic look he normally has, but more a look of concern. As the door to the large room opens, he immediately notices all the iGear simulators are empty. He looks to his left and can see Orgrimmar sitting there at the desk. "Hey, Orgrimmar, have you seen Wolf?" Orgrimmar looks up from a small console. "No," he says with a tone that indicates he is still annoyed about being grounded. Bryn looks at Orgrimmar for a moment as if he wants to say something more, but sighs and walks away. As Bryn starts to walk towards Psycho's office, Amiko comes running toward him. She stops right in front of him and catches her breath. "Wolf, he is in trouble." As she says that, she gives a paper to Bryn. He quickly takes it and reads it. "Why have I not heard about this before? It is 4 hours old." "I'm sorry, I just found out. Myself, sir. Get everyone ready for a search and rescue mission. I will inform Psycho." Bryn can hear a faint "yes, sir" as he runs towards Psycho's office. Chapter 3, Search and Rescue. Without knocking on the office door, Bryn rooches in, only saying 4 words to get Psycho's full attention. "Wolf is in trouble. Get a search party together right now. I will come too." He answers, and at the same time, stands up to prepare for the news he just got. About 10 minutes later, Aaron, Bryn, Amiko, Orgrimmar, Feminin, and Psycho take off and head for Wolf's last known location, Redline. The silence is soon broken by Bryn. "After we are done here, I want a word with you, sir." "What would that be about Commander?" "For one, how the hell could you send out Wolf alone and without telling me? I know you treat Wolf as if he were your son, but he is a good pilot thanks to you, Bryn, and it is about time he gets the chance to stand on his own 2 feet. Still, I'm his commander. I have a responsibility toward him." "So what are you telling me? Do you want me to move him to another commander?" "No, I just want to know when you do something like this so I don't have to wait for 4 hours before I get the news he has crashed." "Get ready. We are moving into Redline." "Orgrimmar, did I not ground you?" Without answering, Orgrimmar just looks out of his cockpit and looks towards Psycho. "You should read the papers in front of you more carefully before signing them, sir." The tone of Orgrimmar's voice tells Psycho that he had better drop that topic. "Right, Orgrimmar, take the lead and secure the gate, Famine. You go next. The rest of us go in together." Wolf is about to give up hope to ever be found when the gate suddenly roars to life, and out comes an A-gear and M-gear. He immediately recognizes the armor as it sits down just a meter in front of him and goes into siege mode. Not long after, the rest of the gang comes through the gate, and Wolf carefully picks up the small animal he has both become friends with and given a name. As he approaches Orgrimmar, the 2 I-gears, Bryn and Arong, fly to secure a larger area. The M-gear, owned by Amiko, slowly descends over Wolf, and a beam hits him instantly, teleports him to a small and not too comfy cargo space. "Amiko, you have to tell them it is an A-gear." But less than a second after Wolf says those words, communication with Arong is lost, and a mid-air explosion can be seen. "Hostile at my location. I need backup." This time it is Bryn's voice. Without a word, the rest of the formation sets full speed ahead. Famine is the first one there and immediately lands a bomb on the A-gear. As she turns around for another run, she can see Airong's eye gear spread out over the mountainside. For a moment, it is as if time just stops, and she almost forgets why she is there. She pushes a couple of buttons, loads up an EMP bomb, and pushes the throttle to the max to escape the blast. With a growl that no one has ever heard from her in the 20 years she has been a part of the Chosen Ones, she pushes the button so hard it cracks and keeps it pressed long after the bomb has been released. Not far behind her fires Bryn and Psycho everything they got in the now unprotected A-gear. The two of them enter formation with Famine in the lead and Emiko between Bryn and Psycho as they slowly fly over the area where Airong's burning wreck can be seen, all of them hoping to see some sort of life sign down there. I know how much Airong meant to you, Famine. Psycho takes a small break and takes a breath before continuing to speak. He was a brave pilot, and I'm sure I speak for us all when I say we will all miss him. As Famine listens to Psycho's words, she remembers what her father once told her. What we do is easy because we never see the enemy's face, but I hope the day when you have seen the face of the one dying, you will not forget who your friends are. The five of them are almost back to the gate before Famine finally speaks. Thank you, sir. Everyone can hear her voice cracking and that she is close to crying. Chapter 4, Questions. Orgrimmar walks silently down the corridor, trying to remember the good times he and Airong did have. But the thoughts seem to end up in the one place he wants to forget. He slams his fist into the metal wall. The pain comes and, as usual, makes him angry. He hits the wall again and this time leaves a bloodstain on the shiny metal. He stops for a moment, looks at his blood-stained knuckles, and starts to walk. As he turns toward his quarters, he meets up with Psycho and passes him without even saluting. Orgrimmar! Orgrimmar stops and turns around. This has to stop. It was not my fault. Then Woe's fault, was it? My fault? Orgrimmar says with a slightly louder voice. No, Orgrimmar, it was no one's fault. Airong did follow orders just as you did. Psycho takes a short break and looks at Orgrimmar. That A-gear could have been right outside the gate, and it could have been you that was killed. Orgrimmar takes a few steps closer to Psycho. Well, I wish it was me. He did not deserve that. He has done everything to be a good friend. What have I done? Nothing. Psycho knows there is nothing he can do or say to make Orgrimmar feel better and lets him go as he turns around. Orgrimmar bows his head slightly as he walks into his quarters and notices Famine is sitting there watching a photo of Airong. Orgrimmar can see she has been crying, so he gently takes the photo from her grasp and places it back on the shelf. He then gently lifts up Famine and closes his arms around her, hugging her gently. Famine does the same and pulls herself close to Orgrimmar. Why did this happen, Orgrimmar? Someone once told me God takes those he likes the most first. Psycho looks at the two of them from the door and is surprised to see Orgrimmar as gentle as a father would be to his daughter. He wishes he could walk in and say something that would make them both feel better. Orgrimmar can feel tears from Famine as they travel down his neck, and he closes his eyes, trying to prevent himself from crying. Why did I not save him like I have done so many times before? Orgrimmar takes a moment to swallow his tears before answering. You had your orders, just as I did have my. We can't be at two places at once. Orgrimmar looks at the time and realizes the funeral is going to start soon. We must leave Famine. We don't want to dishonor Airong by being late. Orgrimmar gently puts Famine down on the floor, walks up to a desk, and picks up a medal that only those killed in action will receive. The end.